The following broadcast depicts the fictitious character of the Top Hat Gaming Man. If you fail to understand the satirical nature of this channel, then please f*** off and watch something else.
Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the extremely highbrow, top-notch channel of myself, the Top Hat Gaming Man. Yeah! I am currently in my home in jolly old England and there is a bloody severe weather warning happening outside my window. Apparently there's going to be coastal flooding, which only takes place about once every 60 years. The great thing about this coastal flooding though is I'm nice and safe in this bloody village. It's only all the bloody, I don't know, bungalow shantytown areas that are susceptible to this. The thing I find odd about this though is why did local authorities bother to evacuate everyone? This is like the scourge of society, the lowest of the low. This would have been a great natural way to cull them, yeah. Sector 7 level shit could have gone down. But no, we're saved them because this is a lovely welfare state. Yeah. Anyway, the reason why I'm here today is to talk about my Patreon again. I know some of you don't like it, blah blah blah. He doesn't deserve any money. He's a twat. But despite all that, I'm going to continue to pump out content, and if some of you like it, then I would love for donations. It gives me an amazing feeling of satisfaction. Every time I see $1 go into that account, I think, yeah, another $1. That's amazing, $1. In today's society, the pound is dropping, the dollar's going up. So every time I get another $1, that's a massive help. Anyway, let's get on to the Patreon Q&A. First question from Ian A. Chapman. When you was a nipper, did you ever have any of those one-game handheld devices? Game & Watch or similar knockoffs? Let's think back to the early 80s, shall we? In fact, I remember my bloody toy box being full of those bloody things. I had loads of them. No actual official Game & Watches. I don't ever remember seeing any of those. But like loads of other devices. As you said, I wouldn't exactly call them knockoffs. I would just call them, I don't know what you call them really. Just licenses that aren't famous today, I suppose. The one I remember most notable is like a mini arcade cabinet called Astro Wars. And the gameplay was a bit like Space Invaders, but it was like over a mirror. It was pretty nice to look at, to be fair. I had many more, but it's really hard to remember because I had them when I was so young, like maybe less than 3 years old. So I was born in 1986, so this would have been in the early 80s, the early stages of my life. So it's hard to recall which ones, but I certainly had quite a lot. Next question from Edward O'Reilly. When you're on your travels, do you carry a Game Boy Micro or DS Lite when playing GBA games? Well, I don't actually own a Game Boy Micro, Edward. I remember playing one when it first came out, and I remember finding the device, well, basically rather small for my fat fingers. I much prefer the bigger Game Boy Advance SP. However, I also like to play my JXD gaming tablet on my travels. It's rather naughty, but it's actually a fantastic device for emulating GBA games. The screen is much bigger and far superior, so it's just an all-round better device in 2017 to play Game Boy games on. However, the Game Boy SP still does prove useful, as obviously you can put actual bloody cartridges in it, and certain games like WarioWare Twisted can only be played on the Game Boy Advance, because obviously you can use it for the tilt motion controls. So you've also got another question, Edward. Will you be buying the Nintendo Switch on launch day? Could be very handy for your new travel adventures. Well, to be honest, I would, we'll find out whether I'd like to or not in the next couple of days, because we have no idea of the price point, the launch games, we know nothing at the moment. However, regardless of if it's good or bad, I will not be able to purchase it, unfortunately, because it will be right in the heat of my travels. And if I'm going to own one, I'd rather own a European version for simplicity when like plugging it into walls and stuff. So I'm off to Thailand in a couple of weeks and I'm looking to go there for 2 months. Then after that I'm looking to head to Australia for 2 months. So I will be either Thailand or Australia at Switch launch. So unfortunately I will not be able to obtain one until I get back to England. So I'm assuming I will get my Switch around September, October sort of time this year. Next question from Nathan Davino. If you could wipe your memory and replay a game from the beginning, what would it be? That's an interesting question. There's been games I've really loved in the past, but you've got to think, would I have enjoyed them if I played them for the first time today? Because obviously playing a game is applicable to that time period. Like for example, Ocarina of Time, and Final Fantasy VII, for example, are both two of my all-time favourite games. But would they be if I played them for the first time today? I'm not quite sure on that because the graphics are just so blocky and ugly looking. I suppose I'm better off going for a game with a more timeless looking appeal. So on that note, I'm going to select Chrono Trigger. I think it's a fantastic game, and I only played it for the first ever time myself 6 bloody years ago. So if I enjoyed it 6 years ago, I'd enjoy it now as well. So the safe bet, I'm going to say Chrono Trigger. Next question is from Shooter Q. What is the most prized piece in your collection and why? That's a really easy one for me to answer. It's actually my PAL complete in-box copy of Mega Man X3 for the Super Nintendo. The reason being, apart from the fact that it's worth like an absolute fortune and it's the most I've ever sadly spent on a game, I remember seeing it advertised in Nintendo official magazine when I was about 10 years old. I loved the Mega Man X, I loved the Mega Man X2, and I seriously wanted Mega Man X3. However, sadly, I never remember seeing it in any of the shops anywhere for sale. I looked around everywhere. And then I remember seeing it on eBay and the price slowly going up and up. And then it started to dissipate, as in like literally not even seeing listings for the bloody game. And then eventually I coughed up 18 years later when I was about 28. So the reason why Mega Man X3 is my most prized game in my collection, because I waited the bloody longest to acquire a copy. So Mega Man X3 all the way. Next question from Jose Rivera. Just got to scratch my nose. What game or system are you most interested in acquiring next? I'm big into my handhelds at the moment, Jose. So I'm going to say, what's it called? PC. I'm going to Google this quickly because I keep forgetting the bloody name. Basically, it's called the Turbo Graphics Express in America, and I keep forgetting the Japanese name. It's PC Engine something. PC Engine GT. That's the next one I'd like to add to my collection. It looks like a bloody fantastic handheld, and it plays bloody PC Engine games on the go. Basically, it's like an NEC version of a Sega Nomad. Pretty cool stuff, I must say. I'd really like to get one. Speaking of that, actually, I've just got D's to bring on my travels with me now, so expect D's reviews when I'm in Thailand. Is it worth playing the Wonder Swan Colour today? And is it worth playing the Neo Geo Pocket Color today? Both those videos I will show when I'm in Thailand. So you'll get to see me playing on these quirky handhelds in an odd area of Southeast Asia. I suppose at least it's where they're bloody from. Anyway, so yes, handhelds around the world. It will return. Next question. Let's have a look. I've moved around a bit here. 1 second. Andrew Potts. What console do you think has the best official controller? It depends, doesn't it? Again, that's a quite difficult question because obviously you get 2D games and 3D games and some are more applicable for each. In terms of just really comfy controllers to hold, I've always really felt the SNES is a great controller to play with, and the Sega Saturn. Although obviously the SNES controller holds a lot of nostalgia for me since that was one of my first ever systems. So I'm going to chuck that out the window because nostalgia is for idiots, and I'm going to say the Sega Saturn controller because I hold absolutely no nostalgia whatsoever for the Sega Saturn, but love the controller. So the Sega Saturn controller is my new favourite as of now, I suppose. Next question. Mad Ape Productions. Is Brexit making Britain great again? You bloody bastard asking me difficult bloody political questions. Firstly, Brexit hasn't actually even bloody happened yet. It's still going through Parliament at the moment. And we just don't know what the effects will be. So let me do the stereotypical politician thing to do. Let me answer your question with another question. Will Donald Trump make America great again? Again, we just don't bloody know. These are very, very complex questions, and again, it just annoys me because you constantly get these political commentators on television who bloody think they are fortune tellers. Well, they are fortune tellers because they're blatantly talking absolute rubbish. They're saying, this is going to happen, and that will make this happen, and that will make this happen, that's like this happen. You cannot get that many intangibles right, like back to back. They are literally like talking rubbish. You can't predict a chain of events like that. It's absolutely... It's so stupid. Politics is stupid really, isn't it? It's all ridiculous. What can I say about Brexit? Obviously, the chances are it will bring in tighter immigration controls down the line, which could be a little tad annoying, since at the moment I pay Eastern Europeans to do many jobs for me. Like if I want to get my car washed, I get the Polish to wash it for me. Like, what kind of future can we live in one day? A future where I have to wash my own car? Because British people aren't going to work for me for peanuts. What have we done? Anyway, next question. Pete Sidorn, you have mentioned in videos that you have done wrestling in the past, and I was wondering who you pattern your wrestling style after, as I have seen your matches and you have put on your channel and thought they were great. Thank you, Pete. I really appreciate that. Thank you for the nice words. Where did I get my wrestling style? It's very character based, as you can see now. I wrestled Richard Parliament, who is ironically the wrestling politician, directly after answering a question about politics. Is rather bizarre. Yes, anyway, I'm the wrestling politician, and my wrestling style of moves I started training about 10 years ago originally, and the old British style was very hot at the time, so I learned quite a big technical ground base back then. It's very useful for giving local idiots a thorough thrashing, I must say. But in terms of character work, I suppose, what was my biggest influences? Obviously, I watched WWE a lot growing up, and I remember thinking JBL was an absolute fantastic villain. His transition from Bradshaw to JBL was just fantastic, and he was just such a despicable individual, and he really, really reminded me of George W. Bush. So I thought, what would be the English equivalent of George W. Bush? Aha! Tony Blair! He likes bombing innocent people and accusing them of having weapons of mass destruction they don't have. I want to be the wrestling version of Tony Blair! Yeah! So my biggest wrestling influence of all time is Tony bloody Blair. So, that's it. I've answered your Patreon questions, and I hope you have enjoyed spending time with me today. Cheerio! Hello everyone! If some of you millennials at home find my tongue-in-cheek humour slightly offensive, then I think you should all go and die. Anyway, on a more serious note, I must say I really am truly grateful to you guys who donate to me on Patreon. It really does bring sunshine into days which are often most foul. Anyway, for the rest of you, they've got a couple of video annotations here for you to have a look at. A couple of days ago I made a video about the top 50 SNES games that were only released in Japan. So I seriously suggest you check that out to get some further cultural enlightenment. Ta-ta and farewell.